All right, what's going on? I want to talk about a quick concept here that I think is completely foundational. This is something so huge. I've come across this so much, and um, I'm big on just people thinking for themselves, their own self awareness, building their own way of thinking, and stop borrowing fixed thinking. I think having a growth mindset is so important. I think the easiest way to explain, a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset is literally this right here. So I'm going to talk about three concepts real quick. It's not going to be a long video. This is what the goal is. If I believe if individuals can learn how to think independently and think for themselves, and push themselves to become the best version of themselves, everyone becomes unstoppable. Now, the reality of this is that it's going to be difficult for most people to do that because there's no awareness, there's no context of where they stand in their own world, because there's so much outside, distraction. You don't get a chance to even understand where you are in this world, right? So let's talk about three concepts, and this is going to hit so hard. When I realized this, probably about 5 to 6 years ago, it allowed me to take my level of awareness, level of execution, level of understanding about this world to like the highest level. So let's talk about it. First one is information, then knowledge, then wisdom. Okay, so let's just break it down very simple. So the first level here is just information. In today's world, you got podcasts, you got social media, you got religion, you got corporate work, people in fraternities. It's just information that you are exposed to. Even when we're children, right? We get in elementary school, we just learn a bunch of information. We learn the Pledge of Allegiance, right? We learn, the USA flag, all that stuff. We learn all these different things, our favorite sports teams, local teams, all that. We just learn a bunch of information that we complete, and we basically form societal norms for ourselves through just a bunch of information. TVs, podcasts, even today's world, a lot of content is driven on social media. So we form information from these things. Now, let's talk about that first level real quick. This does not at all include what you think you should do for yourself, what you think you should become, or any sort of self-analysis at all. None of this is self-analysis. So this is just purely, this is what's in front of me. This is what I'm watching. This is what I'm consuming. And this is what's going down, right? That's all it is. So then, next level is knowledge, right? So let's talk about it. We go to college. We read books. And I'm a big book reader. I've been a book reader for about at least the last 15 years. I went to college. People go to college. People take, classes, right? People do a bunch of stuff, take courses. People are sometimes can be course junkies or even book junkies. Just call it what it is. So I have several books here. I used to get to the point where I was like, oh, I want to read a bunch of books. I want to read a book a week. And like, trust me, I'm all for it, right? And knowledge is awesome, right? Just having a bunch of information is awesome. And a lot of times it gives you sort of an edge when you have just the knowledge. It gives you edge in conversations. It gives you edge in being able to do analysis. It gives you edges in being able to understand things fluidly, right? So it's not a bad situation to be in, because, you're like one step above the majority of people who just have a bunch of information with no context. Knowledge at least gives you some sort of context, right? And so there's nothing wrong with that. It's beautiful. But there's another level. I'm going to go back a little bit and talk about the egos of each level as well, too. So it's very, very important. So the next level is wisdom, right? This is applied knowledge. I read the book, and the book talked about the next 3 steps to self-awareness, which was, self-awareness, overcoming your fears, and then your environment. And then now I'm applying it in my real world. So the wisdom says, I got the knowledge, I have the information, right? I got the information from everybody. Then I went to go get the knowledge. I went and got specific about what I was trying to get the information to tell me. And now I'm applying this into my real world, right? Practicality, practitioner into my world. I'm going to take those 3 steps to become self-aware. I'm going to start reflecting on my day. I'm going to start journaling. I'm going to start meditating. I'm going to start applying the knowledge. And then after you have applied knowledge, you get this experience of, oh, when I got this information, became knowledgeable about it, and I applied the knowledge, this was my experience. Okay, so how can I repeat it all in this cycle, in this loop? Boom. Those 3 steps with the experience, and you apply that to everything in your entire life, you will never lose. You can't lose that way, right? So let's go back and talk about how people get caught between these different stages of their foundation. This is very important. I won't be much longer on this as well. So give me 1 second here. This is very important because this is how people get stuck in life, 100%. So let's talk about it. The first one, information. Information. I mean, it's really nothing necessarily to be egotistical about because it's just information. Now, here's where the ego part comes from too. It's like, for example, you're watching a podcast and I see this a lot. You have a significant other, you saw the podcast, and somebody on the podcast said something that resonated with you that, you and your partner just experienced, right? And so you get that information from this influencer or whatever, you get it, you get this dopamine hit, and now you're like, oh, this is what this person said, so it must apply to my life. Boom. It must be the general thing for everybody, right? I saw somebody online the other day that said something on Threads social media, and it was a general statement that meant to be served as this is what these people do. And I was just like, this is just not true at all, right? So, but it was just information out there and people was sucking on it, and it was 300 comments and it just went bananas. It went nuts. And that was a perfect form of just information, whether it was right or wrong, no fact checking, just somebody's beliefs. Boom. All right. That's information. That's how the ego works in information. Other thing is, like I said, knowledge, right? So knowledge is out here. And now, okay, let's just say, use the same example. Somebody said something about partnerships and it resonated with you. And you say, you know what, instead of me just taking that information and, calling it my situation, what this other person said, I'm going to go learn about relationships. I'm going to go actually learn about relationships, read a book on relationships, and become educated on how relationships become sustainable. That's the knowledge standpoint of it, right? Boom. So at that point, you're like, okay, I know that, with relationships, you have to understand each other, right? You have to go and take the time to get to know each other, ask questions, and there's some sort of information about how you get to know this person. So now you go from this clip that was in the information area to now this article that you read or this book you read that focuses on how to improve relationships with your partner. Boom. Now, the ego part is where the ego part comes out in the knowledgeable section. The ego part says, well, I read this, and this, and I know that this, and this, and, somebody said this, and this. That's the knowledge aspect, right? You got information, knowledge, all, jumping together here and everybody's rocking and rolling. And I feel like I know more than you because you hadn't got the information or the knowledge, or you may have gotten the information and not the knowledge. So I feel like I'm better than you because I got information and knowledge, right? Boom. And honestly, that works in a lot of situations. I don't agree with that because then it becomes I'm better than you, I'm right, or you wrong. But a lot of people get stuck in that situation because it's one step above just having the information, and it makes the person feel confident that they know more, right? That's how the ego can trick us in information and knowledge. Here's where the wisdom kicks in. Wisdom says, okay, well, we got the information, we got the knowledge. Now we're going to apply what I read in this book to the relationship in practicality as a practitioner. And we're going to do the steps. Hey, honey, I'm going to ask you this question. I'm going to get to know you. Hey, I want you to come here and understand this with me as well. So we're in the wisdom. The wisdom says, get your partner involved with you understanding this, right? Wisdom says you both go and read the book, right? Wisdom says you both understand each other's love languages and how to communicate with each other, right? It's very simple stuff, but like if you apply this to everything, right, from business to personal to whatever it is in life, like you cannot not improve. Like it's inevitable that you're gonna become the best version of yourself. And so again, most people stop in that knowledge standpoint. It's like getting a college degree. When people get a college degree, they're like, okay, I made it, I got my degree, I'm stopping here, right? And I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of people are cool and okay with the fact that they have a college degree. Well, you got to go now take that college degree and apply your skill set and your knowledge to some sort of, business or some sort of role in society today. And so I'm saying all this to say, when anyone can get these concepts and bridge them all together and know the process, know where they stand, the beautiful thing here is having the awareness and wherewithal to know where you fit in this category. And you're going to take this formula and you're going to put it in every aspect of your life, as a parent, as a husband, as a wife, as a friend, as a business partner, right? As an employee, right? Whatever aspect of your life, if you apply those three things, all of them, you got to get into practice. That you ultimately want to become a practitioner of whatever you're doing. Because if you're just getting the information and the knowledge, yeah, it's not nothing that's going to be applied. I'm in the same position. If you're just getting the information, you're cooked because you're just like everybody else. So, that being said, your foundation is important. Your way of shifting and thinking and processing and maneuvering through things is important, and this process helps. It's helped me a lot. In the last 5 years, I kind of took this concept and applied it to my life, and it allows me to move smoother daily. It allows me to make better decisions. It allows me to be calmer and just be confident in where I know that I'm going because I'm applying these principles. So again, I love working with people. I love to see people do well and work at a high level. So if you have any questions about that, I have a book that's being re-released called Walk Through the Fire, second edition. I will put a link in the description to grab that book. That book is going to break down all the stuff that I'm talking about as far as just foundation, mind, body, spirit, and finances, and this information, knowledge and wisdom concept is all up and through that book, and it shows you plenty of examples as a practitioner of how to apply this in your world. And that's what you ultimately want to do, is be able to be a practitioner in your world. So if you have any questions, you can book a call with me. The links are going to be in the description. Share this, save it, subscribe, let somebody know what's going on, because this could be, life-changing stuff for anybody. So you guys have a good day. Peace. I'll be here next week with another episode.